up, everyone? Welcome back to the pod. Road to Making Bank, episode 11. We made it past 10. We got it out. Episode 10 is out. So congratulations, Luka.
Yes, I'm very excited. Episode 11, legs 11, my favorite number. Let's get it going. I'm excited.
Legs 11. Yeah, we did another 2.5 hour setup time, but we're on the road. We're on the road, eh?
We're still on the road.
These international pods, there's a lot of shit to sort out, isn't there? There's lots of technical problems and
if you
whatnot.
make any changes, it's a minimum 2 hours to fix the problem.
Yeah. You know, when you're relying on little like Apple adapters, little lightning to 3.5 millimeter adapters, it's not a good de-risking strategy, is it? You can't be relying on these little adapters. And I've been bitching to Luka for the last couple of hours about how phones don't have a 3.5 millimeter headphone output anymore, because that would have solved us many hours of headache. Right, Luka?
Yeah, I'm not even sure if that's the problem. It might be something to do with the phone.
Software or something.
Connected.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know. I mean,
possibly. I don't know.
I guess it is a cheap phone. I'm in between phones at the moment.
Actually, this is we've done the last pods pretty much audio only. We haven't been able to see each other, but this is a lot better being able to see you, man, on the video. So
you might be able to get a video recording soon.
Feels like we're back in the St Kilda apartment. Yeah, we'll do video soon. Cool, man. All right, maybe we should just hop straight into it, eh?
Let's do it.
Episode 11. We're switching it up. We'll do the kind of macroeconomics section first and see how that rolls. So, what is your current assessment of the financial markets and any macroeconomic, cultural, or political factors that influence our lives?
Well, I think I sent you a link for one thing that popped up in my feed, or I actually got an email about it, was the referendum vote. It's coming up at the moment. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. In fact, what I might even try to do is just read part of the email that I received.
Yeah, go for it. I'm pissed off I didn't have enough time to research it, because I would have, but I lost my hotel key. It fell out of my pocket at the supermarket, and I had to like walk back for quite a while to find it, and it was stressful, and sorry, man.
So
go ahead.
This is an email I got from a company called Solutions Empowerment, and it's titled Voice Referendum, October 14th, Vote No. The email continues, "Hi folks, as you know, the Voice Referendum is coming up on the 14th of October 2023. There are two questions arising. The second one that isn't even known at this stage. What you aren't being told is: 1. The Aboriginal community are mostly not supporting it, as they wish to retain their sovereign status, but if the yes vote is accepted, carried at the referendum, the Aborigines will become citizens of the Commonwealth of Australia and lose their ID and sovereignty. Number 2, if you vote yes on one question, it defaults to a yes on both questions. And 3, the UN has given a mandate to the Australian government, in brackets, no such legal entity under the Constitution. There is only the Parliament or the Parliament of the Commonwealth, thereby more government fraud, to take over private property ownership off the people of Australia, Commonwealth of Australia, but they cannot accomplish this until they have all peoples under the Constitution, which the Aboriginals are not currently. Number 4, to vote yes is to give away your property ownership rights. Your only recourse to protect your right to property ownership is to vote no to both referendum questions. But this isn't enough. The government has enlisted 30,000 volunteers to door knock homes and streets to encourage the yes vote. You need and to commit to tell at least 10 people each to vote no to both questions and give the reasons why. This is absolutely urgent, folks. Will you protect your property ownership rights and all your other rights, which fraudulent governments are currently exhausting every effort to diminish, trespass, and destroy? The future is truly in your hands. Tell anyone that walks. If they don't walk, kick them to vote no to both referendum questions and save the once greatest country on earth. Your involvement is greatly sought and appreciated. Thanks, Solutions Empowerment Team. So yeah, a few things there. I guess which raised some interesting questions. And I think the first one, Aboriginal community mostly not supporting this as they wish to retain their sovereign status. If the yes vote is accepted, carried out the referendum, Aborigines become part of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Australia and use their ID and lose their ID and sovereignty. So yeah, I think that's a pretty one. I guess we have been talking about that for quite a while. That being the case, and I think especially seeing as Indigenous people have tribal law as separate to I guess the laws in the Constitution, they have sort of their own identity legally as well. But if they come under the Constitution, then they fall under the same laws as everyone else. So that if there are any changes to the Constitution, it also includes them. If there's any changes to land title holdings or property ownership laws, they will have given up their original tribal laws.
Yeah, it's like they're signing
ownership.
over.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting.
That's pretty interesting. And I guess I'm not really sure what the questions are. I haven't seen this referendum or what it's about, but it says if you vote yes on one question, it defaults to a yes on both questions. So I'm not actually sure what those questions are exactly.
Yeah, and I've heard something like if you what is it like? You tick a box. If you put a tick instead of saying yes or something, it defaults to a yes vote. But if you put a cross, it'll register as a yes vote or something like that. It was skewed towards, if someone filled it in wrong, it'd skew towards a yes vote. Something like that. But the big issue is if the Indigenous population, effectively signed over to the Commonwealth, it's, I guess, legally, right? I mean, like, who's going to hold that, though? Is it the International Criminal Court, The Hague, or is it, because they're not actually signing it. The Indigenous population isn't actually signing it themselves. It's the Australian population as a whole that's doing this vote. So it's kind of hard to tell who has the power there. But yeah, if I was an Indigenous Australian, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so it says here,
I wouldn't be giving any power to this.
voice.gov.au. Fact sheet, referendum question, constitutional amendment. In late 2023, Australians will have their say in a referendum on whether to recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first peoples of Australia in the Constitution through an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. The voice will be an independent representative body for First Nations peoples. It would advise the Australian Parliament and the government. It would give First Nation peoples a say on matters that affect them. For the referendum to pass, a majority of voters need to vote yes nationally, plus a majority of voters in at least 4 out of 6 states. This is known as a double majority. On the 19th of June 2023, Parliament passed the constitutional Alteration Bill. This means the referendum question and proposed amendment to the Constitution are now set. Referendum question. On referendum day, voters will be asked to vote yes or no on a single question. The question will be a proposed law to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Do you approve this proposed alteration? Constitutional amendment. The proposed law that Australians are being asked to vote upon is set out in the Constitution Alteration Bill. If approved at the referendum, the following words would be added to the Constitution. Chapter 9, Recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Peoples. 129, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice. In recognition of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people at the First Peoples of Australia. There shall be a body to be called the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice. Number 2, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice may make representations to the Parliament and the Executive Government of the Commonwealth on matters relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. 3, the Parliament shall, subject to this Constitution, have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice, including its composition, functions, powers, and procedures. So the Parliament shall, subject to the Constitution, have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. So there you go. That third one in itself pretty much gives it all away.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, it says here, the Parliament shall, subject to the Constitution, have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice.
Yeah, directly, okay.
So I guess they have sovereignty, but with this, so they basically, it's going to say, I mean, from my understanding, this basically means Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders will have a panel of people who will represent them. But by becoming part of the Constitution, the Parliament can now make decisions, have the power to make laws in regarding to matters that relate to them.
Yeah, so it's like, is it just going to be the Aboriginal voices, or it's going to be a combination of like, you know, whatever skin color or ethnicities? It's I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, it's like you have a voice, and because we're letting you speak, we now get to tell you what to do. It doesn't...
Yeah, right.
Well, that's my understanding of it.
It's just a way to tell them what to do officially. Yeah, I mean,
like, as an analogy from what I gather, it's like you can speak at your trial, but by us letting you speak at your trial, we get to condemn you.
Makes it official.
We have the power to condemn you.
Right, so that's pretty much... that's how you rate it, yeah? So it's...
Well, it's like...
It'll be like a combination of the Aboriginal voices and whoever's in Parliament, right? The MPs. So it's not just going to be... So they can vote, I guess, on decisions or something. So it's not just going to be... So if there's a proposal or a bill to, you know, destroy a river and build some roads or something, like, are they just going to say, like, is this cool, Aboriginal elders, or is it not cool? Like, are they going to listen to them, or is it?
Well, I suppose they have a voice. They get to say, they get to give their opinion, but at the end of the day, the Parliament shall, subject to the Constitution, have power to make laws with respect to matters relating to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice, including its composition, functions, powers, and procedures. So the Parliament gets to state what type of power they have.
Yeah, and if interests align, you know, it could be anything.
Well, if there's an authority that gives you authority, then you're still subject to that authority, that original authority.
Yeah. So you're saying it's like, effectively useless.
If your parents say you're allowed to eat ice cream, sure, you get to eat ice cream, but only because they said you're allowed to. It's not like you're an independent being now.
You know what? I want to, if I can trade my Australian passport and citizenship for a different country that I prefer, why don't we just all get out of Australia and just give the country back? I'm happy to give up my citizenship, and if I get a Thai citizenship in return, if not, I'll keep my Australian citizenship.
Is that a thing?
No, I don't think you can swap citizenships. But we talked about that on a previous podcast. Like, there should be a citizenship exchange program, right? That'd be cool. If you want to swap, if there's a willing person that wants to swap, that could be cool. But no, I mean, like, seriously, it's when I think of this, basically the system is completely broken at the moment, in my opinion, anyway. So it's like, it's either, if you want to like do this, give the country back to Australia and everyone leave. I mean, give the country back to Aboriginal people and everyone leave. You can't just do this like half-assed, sort of ineffective, divisive. It's essentially dividing the country based on race and skin color and skin pigmentation or whatever. So, yeah, to me, the little I know about it, because I'm not participating anymore. It's just ridiculous. And, this, yeah. Yeah. What do you think about this, Luka?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming regardless. It's happening.
Yeah, it happens. The interesting thing will be what happens after it goes through. So if you were saying, this could lead to, this opens up for people to lose their property rights, and the UN to possibly come in and take some property. Is that right?
Yeah, there was this, I did a little bit of research. There was this article talking about Kim Beazley. Let's have a look here. Numerous Facebook posts have argued that the real reason for the voice referendum is to create a contract between the government and the Indigenous Australians, which would then allow the United Nations to take control over ownership of housing, farms, property and business, and help realise its secretive push for totalitarian republic. According to the post, in 1990, federal politician Kim Beazley made a statement in response to Labor Senator John Button's question in the Australian Federal Parliament about whether there should be a republic. Mr. Beazley was said to have responded, "The United Nations have given the federal government a mandate of ownership for housing, farms, property and business to government control once the republic has been proclaimed." However, this exchange never happened. In an email to RMIT Fact Lab, Mr. Beazley said the quote was complete rubbish, particularly as it would make no sense for him to be fielding questions from a Senate cabinet colleague on the same side of politics and in the wrong chamber of parliament. It is meaningless, he said, adding that the UN doesn't give us a mandate on anything. Can't recall saying anything like that or a context in which I would say it. Indeed, a search of the Federal Parliamentary Hansard reveals just 4 instances of Mr. Beazley uttering the phrase United Nations in the lower house of Parliament between July 87 and March 93. Of these, 3 were about the 1990 Gulf War, while the third was in relation to the tabling of documents in Parliament. During this period, the only time Mr. Beazley uttered the words United Nations and mandate in the same speech was during the second reading of a telecommunications bill in 91. Interesting.
Right. So, what was it? Beasley. They were saying Beasley wanted a republic to be able to do some deals with the UN, sell some land and stuff. Yeah, was that the gist of it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard about that. Yeah, can't verify anything, but if it happened, yeah, I mean that's the story these days. It's pretty much who's gonna work with who to do some deals and like make some money, get some brown paper bags under the table. That's what politics has come to these days.
Well, it's probably always been that.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. It's just like how entrenched it is, or how prevalent it is. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so I guess the big issue is like, are people going to lose their properties? Right, at the end of the day, that's the question.
Yeah, well, I guess it comes down to ownership. Will people retain ownership over their properties? I think, I guess there's the argument that you don't actually own the land that you buy. You're simply a title holder. And you're renting that space. So, you've got all kinds of things. If the government want to put a road or a freeway straight through that, it's kind of like that.
It's the castle.
The castle, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of thing, where they're putting a super highway through Earth. Earth is in the way, so they just blow it up. It's kind of that same thing. If your house is in the way, they'll just remove it.
Yeah.
I know firsthand from there being a road upgrade where they put 2 extra lanes in this particular part of Melbourne, and we were removing the trees along those roads so they could widen the roads. And I think Vic Roads ended up, pretty much slicing half of people's front yards off. And obviously because there's less land now on that property, the value of the property drops, but they actually
cut into the private land, just the whatever they call it, the verge crown land or whatever,
and so they weren't fairly compensated for that. For that.
Well, just comes down to they have the monopoly on violence, and they can do what they want if they got the police force behind them. So I guess the issue is, how do you? Well, the kind of prescient question is, how do you like de-risk in this environment, which is increasingly more going towards feudalism and just government ownership. So it's a question that I'm thinking, man. I'm like, should I sell my house? I'm actually not sure. I don't know. I don't really want to, but it's also a risk as well. If banks go down, they could call in my loan. They could, who knows, man. You got the issue of debt rollover happening soon. People coming off 2-year fixed rates when they bought at like 2%. And there's just a lot of shit to consider at the moment, isn't there? Property ownership, how much are the people going to stand up if the government comes for their properties somehow? It's people rolled over pretty easily during the whole COVID thing. So I don't know, man. It's a hard question when it comes to property in Australia. In one way, all the politicians want their investment properties to hold their value, and they want to be able to own their properties after they bail out of politics. once they've got enough cash. And it's a really complicated question. Very multifactorial, I think. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, I just thought it was a pretty interesting topic. So just, not knowing much about it, just be interesting to see what happens.
If there's like a legal loophole now for foreign entity to come in and like scoop up like land or take over people's land, yeah, that's a risk. Yeah, with this voice referendum thing, if that happens, it's definitely something to consider.
Well, yeah, I think another big issue was, Australia is an island, a big island, but all the ports are, a lot of the major ports are owned by other countries, or I think China owns all, if not majority, of the major ports in Australia. So
they own some, don't they? Like Darwin, I think, maybe.
And Melbourne.
But yeah, if they want to flick the switch, they can. Basically, it's just a free-for-all shit show at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see
globally speaking.
See how it all works once the dust settles.
Everyone for themselves, I think, pretty much. I've lost trust in pretty much all institutions. So Australian institutions anyway. So
what are you seeing on your side of the world?
Steps. Well, because I don't speak the language well here, I'm pretty insulated from. I don't watch the news here, so I don't really know what's happening. There was an election recently, but like a new party won, but they haven't. There's like a process, so they're not going to be in power or something. So I see this on some English-speaking YouTube channels. But generally, man, people just, it's a different culture here. It's a live and let live culture. They say like Sabay, it's, laid back. Don't mess with my chill vibe sort of thing. So yeah, it's cool. It's good for me because I don't get, it's news that I hear from Australia or whatever, it doesn't affect me as much anymore, which is good for me. But here it's, if in terms of like being a foreigner here and the risk, it's, Thailand could change things regarding my visa or whatever quickly, but they don't really have a reason to at the moment, most foreigners here behave pretty well. Some don't, and if you don't, you get kicked out. So just respect the culture, respect the lifestyle, and you'll be fine here. You spend the baht here and help businesses and people, buy fruit from the fruit sellers, as I did today. Got papaya and pineapple. Sapporo, Lauko, Malako, Luka, as I taught Luka a bit of Thai today. Papaya and pineapple.
Sapporo.
Oh, the juiciest, freshest pineapple here, man. It's unbelievable. So, yeah. So, it's good here at the moment. And if shit hits the fan globally in terms of economics and currencies, it's like, I really don't want to go to England. I'll try and do everything not to go to England. And Australia is just not even a consideration. So I don't know, maybe I'll have to go to Dubai or something. But for now, it's everything's cool here in Thailand.
What's your current assessment of the financial markets?
Yeah, so generally, there's a bit. I think there's risk is building up. So we've heard about the Evergrande group in China. They filed for bankruptcy. I think they're the second biggest real estate developer in China, and China's economy is made up of 30% real estate. Is 30% of GDP is real estate. in China, and you have the second biggest company going under. And that's risk of contagion eventually, because they owe a shitload of money to other people, who in turn owe a shitload of money to other people, and if you have debt defaults, it's it's a risk. I think the bond yield curve is still inverted. Gold in Australian dollars has broken 3,000 again, which is good. I think it's 3,008, actually, something like that. I think all-time high was got about 3,055 in May, so we're at $3,008 Australian. Silver is $35.93, not bad. So yeah, that's market-wise. You've got unemployment kicking up in America, I'm pretty sure. A little stat I had here. China's youth unemployment is at 21%. So this is something to kind of visualize, as I don't have a chart, but so currently at 21% youth unemployment in China. That's a big number. It was 12% in 2018. So
what is youth? Is anyone 18 and under, or 21 and under, or?
Yeah, I think it was like 16 to 24, something like that. Yeah, okay. Something like that. So that's a huge number. That's a 100% increase in like 5 years. So it's like when you hear that figure and you look at the situation, it's like, you got to look at the probabilities. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? And when you look at debt levels and central banks printing money, it could get worse. Definitely. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. You have any thoughts there?
That would be 2018 was before everything went down. So I guess they were shut down for a few years, so it probably would have taken a bit of a hit. As expected.
A lot of it would be due to COVID, but it was the downward spiral was already on its way. It seems to be. So maybe a bit of.
So you think it would have happened regardless? It was kind of like a cover-up sort of thing, or just like a distraction for what was inevitably going to happen?
Yeah, definitely. Debt levels been rising way before COVID, and COVID just made everything worse. And when I say COVID, I mean government actions, not the actual virus. It's the government have done all this. So so it's a big stat. I can't remember the US unemployment figures, but I'm pretty sure that was rising. And countries like Japan, they have I think it's 50-60%, at least maybe 60 or something. So the Bank of Japan owns 60% of government bonds. So this is the government debt that the government uses to spend on all their liabilities, social security or whatever. And the central bank owns half of them from like printed money, pretty much. So that's just an example. But Japan has a productive economy, so that's what that's what they have in their favor. But just a shit ton of debt, and consumer price inflation is going up as well, I think. So yeah.
Speaking of Japan, there's this guy that I follow on Instagram. His name's Anton in Japan.
Yep.
Anton Werman. and he content creator. I think it looks like there's like free houses that you can get in Japan that are completely torn down, like abandoned, and you can get them for, I think, nothing. And he just kind of like fixes them up.
Flips them.
Yeah. And I think he's bringing out a book. Travel guides, content creation. Yeah. I think he's bringing out a book that pretty much talks about it. But yeah, lots of videos. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Cool. I'll check it out, man. Anton.
I'll send you the link. It's Anton full stop in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, see, so while Japan has a diverse, like a broad economy, like what's the word? I'm missing the word, but they have a diverse economy, so they're not just relying on natural resources like Australia. They're productive in technology and stuff. So, but at some point, people still got high debt levels, and they might not be able to pay their mortgage or whatever still, even though they have a full-time job. So maybe that's what's happening now. I'm not sure. And people are just trying to fire sell their houses on the cheap, or...
Apparently these houses have been abandoned for like 10, 20 years.
Ah, okay. Who knows? What do I know and wants them? So interesting, man. I had I wanted to mention an observation I had here, like which relates to what we're talking about, because I guess it's like misallocation of capital. I wanted to see what you think. So like police in Thailand, they pretty much ride these like kind of just stock standard like Honda CBR, probably 500s, probably not even 650s or whatever. And I notice police in Australia, they ride these big BMWs, right? These big fuck off BMWs. So yeah, it makes me think, like, what's the difference? Like, you're probably looking at a $30,000 motorbike to a maybe a $6,000, $8,000 motorbike, and it's like, is that needed? Is it I haven't, motorcycle chases are really dangerous. So I've never seen one in Australia actually, but is it necessary to have for police to have those BMWs? What do you think?
Well, I was having this conversation the other day with someone, and they were talking about how they rode past some cops. The cops were going to chase them down, and then they kind of created a...
They gave up.
No, basically they created a diversion, made the cops think that they were going to go a different way, and then they just sped off and got around the corner before the cops could turn around, and they didn't chase them.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess the cops really need to have a bike that can keep up with the types of vehicles that we've got in Australia.
Yeah, probably like with a tight turning circle, and also like to weave in between traffic and shit, right? And those massive BMWs with those huge panniers and stuff, it's like, I don't know if they're going to be good for chases.
There's a lot of people in Australia with like hotted up cars, motorbikes and whatnot. So you kind of need pretty decent bikes to keep up with all those if you have any chance of catching anyone.
Yeah, but I wonder, it's like... Yeah, I'm just wondering if, they can pretty much achieve the same thing with like a smaller, cheaper bike, and like, I'm just using it as an example of misallocation of capital, because
I think from my understanding, Victoria Police are a private company, so really it's not.
But they still get money from the taxpayer, even if they privately own, right?
Well, they may do, but that's still having better bikes means they've got more opportunity to pull people over and give more fines, so generate more and generate more money. So it's really an investment. Whereas in Thailand, I'm assuming
they can still pull people over with CBR 500.
Exactly. It sounds like, not that I've ever been there, but it sounds like there's a lot more traffic there anyway. So it's probably, you probably don't need to get around in anything super fast. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I'd assume there'd be less crime here as well, I guess. I'm not actually sure, but that's my assumption. But like, you think of it as in, all right, if we made a private company and we're in charge of enforcing some laws or whatever, and we're starting a company, what motorbike would you buy?
Something that goes fast and handles well.
Hypothetical. Would you spend $30,000 on a hotted up BMW custom everything?
If it makes me $100,000
custom
or more.
Custom painting.
Sure.
I'd probably just get a CBR 650 or some shit.
I mean, one, it has to deter people from wanting to commit crimes. If people think that I can catch them, they may be less inclined to speed off. But if they know they can get away from me, then they'll just do that.
Maybe it's a visual thing then. That's why they're buying these bikes. It's just I have a big ass bike, don't mess with me sort of thing.
I mean, it certainly provides a presence. Or creates a presence. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty big bikes.
Yeah, cool. Let us know what you think, everyone. Why Australian police have these big BMWs. I wanted to talk about a thought experiment. Well, this is me. Maybe I've talked about government too much already in this podcast, but we'll dwell on it for a little while. So if we were to take away government and every bit of stolen currency they've handed out to people, like say tomorrow, we wake up tomorrow, there's only a police department, fire department, and the courts. What would everyone do? Would people beg for the government to come back and curl up in fetal position? Would they be happy? Would you just go about your day as usual? Because they're not demanding income tax off you anymore. Would you demand that we build another government to pay income tax to, or what would you think? What would you do tomorrow if that happened?
I'd probably still go to work.
Yeah.
I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
You wouldn't change much, yeah?
If everyone just kept doing what they were doing, I guess the difference would be that people who work in government wouldn't have a job. So they're automatically displaced.
Yeah.
Now, that creates problems because that is a substantial portion of the population, and that would give them a voice, just simply in numbers, which means the rest of the rest of society has to action on that issue. So
how loud would they be, you think?
Well, as we don't have jobs, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? So that has to be addressed. So then what's the next thing that they can do? Okay, they have to find jobs. All right, what kind of jobs are available? So it'd really be a matter of how can you quickly get those people into some sort of role where they can start creating or generating an income to maintain their lifestyles. So yeah, I guess it'd really be finding some way to port, I don't know if that's the right word, but port people over to something else or get them into something else quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, it's a good observation, man.
But yeah, apart from that, I'm not sure if there would be any, like, I guess you'd really have to go through and suss out how
pensioners might be angry as well. Pensioners.
Yeah, good call. Where are they getting their money from? It's taxpayers people anyway. So really, governments are really just creating flows of income, like generating channels for that money to flow.
Yeah.
Because it's taxpayers that pay for it anyway, which means people who are working still have the money to give to pensioners.
Yeah, if they want to. It's almost like they'd have to start, these people that now don't have, government workers now don't have jobs, they'd have to organise to create a new government by force or something to extract money from the public to pay their salaries. And they'd have to do that from scratch. I just wonder how that would work in real life. It'd be very interesting if they have the gumption and will and skills to do that.
Yeah, you could look at setting up private companies that provide pensions for people. So people can create a charity or some sort of, maybe a charity or a business that donates a portion. So either not for profit that generates money and then just dispenses that to people who aren't eligible for pensions but should be getting a pension, or people who are old enough to get pensions but can't get a pension for whatever, tax reasons or issues that they may have. And then people can deduct that from their taxable income.
Yeah, well, there won't be any taxes.
Well, yeah, so, you could slowly, if you had enough private companies doing it, you could slowly phase out the government.
Well, that's the thing, man. So all these all companies now have 30% more money, or whatever the tax rates are currently. And, what are they going to do with it? They're going to create more businesses. They're going to expand their own current businesses because now they have 30% more cash flow, 20 to 40% maybe. They realize that these pensioners don't have money anymore, and maybe they help in some way by giving them low-skilled labor, because there wouldn't be any minimum wage anymore either, which is... well, I don't believe in the minimum wage. I can explain why, but so yeah, it's interesting. You have all these businesses with more money. You'll have government workers out of jobs. It's just an interesting thought experiment to see how it would play out. I don't think people would get on their knees and beg for more government and start crying.
I think it depends. I think there's a lot of people, it's kind of like that, people become dependent on or get used to their circumstances. So it's, if you're feeding me and then for free, and then one day you stop feeding me, I'm going to get upset because you've been feeding me this whole time, regardless of whether I deserve it or not.
Yeah. But just say they're not successful in getting everyone together to extract money from the citizens through taxes again. So what would they, if they're not successful, what would they do? Family would help them out for a while, then they'd probably be forced to produce goods and services, I guess. And, maybe
I mean, you
rent
could
out a
simply,
room.
what if you just made it simple and just said, look, you can pay tax for, a portion of tax towards people's pensions, and by doing so, you're also eligible for a pension. And if you choose
like a voluntary system,
and if you choose to opt out of paying tax for people's pension, then you're also not eligible for pension when it's your time.
Yeah, that could be cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I like that it's a voluntary system.
So, but I mean, people also think pretty short term, so they might opt out of it, and then you would say, okay, well, I can't afford it this year, but maybe I could afford to opt into it next year. So I guess you'd have to see if that could work. Not sure how you could piece that all together, or maybe it's just a do or don't kind of thing. Everyone does it or everyone doesn't do it.
Yeah,
I think it is necessary. I mean, I think it's necessary.
Well, people will get sorry, cut you off. People will get all their superannuation back as well because there's no government, so there's no forced.
Well, if there's no government, then there's no one to get the money off.
Hey,
if there's no government, there's no one to get the money from. Where's the money going to come from if there's no government tomorrow?
Well, I guess, I'm assuming that the superannuation funds would return the money to the owners if they don't want them in there. They could choose to keep the money in the super funds. It'd just be a voluntary thing. You wouldn't be forced by the government to contribute to super. So I'd be getting my super out, that's for sure. So, tell us what you think, everyone. What do you think would happen if the government and taxation disappeared and there was only the law courts, police, fire departments, and would society crumble, or would human ingenuity rise and create prosperity? Let us know. All right, let's go to... Can you share any recent observations relating to business and entrepreneurship and the approach to it since our last chat? Or do you have any other topics you want to talk about?
I'm a member of the Real World.
Oh, nice. Is that the Andrew Tate thing?
Yeah. So I've been
You've
looking
been
at...
for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, but I've actually started using it today.
Oh, yeah, right.
Doing a course on AI and content creation.
Hey, nice.
So yeah, I've only looked into it. They use Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah. It's video editing, isn't it?
Yeah. So they take you through how to edit videos and create content. And then I think there's additional lessons on how to use AI to create videos.
Help with copywriting and stuff. And
but yeah, it's
cool.
Pretty cool stuff. I think it's another one.
There's heaps of different courses in there, isn't there? And then there's like the War Room or something, isn't it? Or is it like a community?
Yeah, there's this other Instagram page that I follow. It's called review_AI. And it's just all these these trippy AI digital videos. It's just basically an original video, and then over the top it just has this AI kind of funky, I don't know, theme. They're all differently themed, but it's pretty fascinating.
Like AI generated video imagery,
Yeah,
or generated audio, maybe as well. They might generate the text.
Yeah, I think it's everything.
Yeah, cool.
But it is
Nice, man.
cool.
That's actually because I'm looking into that as well as part of my digital marketing stuff, and there is some cool tools out there. There's one called there's a software called Lumen 5 that you can it'll create a video from text pretty much, from what I've heard. I've been meaning to check it out. I haven't yet, but yeah, similar to what you're talking about, I think. And yeah, cool. Anything else good on the real world?
Yeah, I mean they've got a lot of different things you can learn. I guess anything from copywriting to sales to content creation, AI. They've got I think there's stock trading. So yeah, there's a couple of different options there. I think there's a digital agency as well. They've got their own courses. I think it's every teacher is sort of a very successful, or I think they're all millionaires in their own right, own respective occupations. So I think the idea behind it was to get
the best.
I guess their thing is, they talk a lot about university teachers not actually being, university teacher teaching business has never owned their own business. So I think they've gone with, okay, well, let's create an online university where the people teaching it are actually doing what they teach.
Part of the real world. They've got their experience in the real world, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all of these companies, they're all online models. So everything that you are learning is for online businesses.
Seems to be the future, man. That's the same path that Iman Gaji's kind of taken as well, hasn't it? It's very low overhead, digital age, future-proofing sort of entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah.
And, I'm down with it, man. It's what I'm trying to do.
I think even Iman Gaji's big things as well is talking about digital agencies that have these huge offices trying to make, create an office culture and whatnot. Whereas I think he just had a laptop, and every conversation was on Zoom. All of his conversations with clients was on Zoom. Just minimizing all costs, which then also means that you're not factoring that into the costs that you bill the customer for. Because if you've got all these overheads with owning an office and an office space, then you have to bill the customer for that to try and keep paying for that. Whereas if you don't have any of those things, if all you have is a laptop, then the overheads aren't as much for the customer.
Yep. Absolutely, man. It's it seems to be the way forward in the digital age, I guess. And why, if the opportunity's there, if the demand for these services are there, so why not do it? And reduce your overhead, reduce your risk. Yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah, I think that's why the AI models is going to be pretty important. I guess they were talking a lot about it just makes things faster. I think, one of the lessons was they were talking about job security with AI. And the instructor was talking about if you're just doing a task, like if you're an animator and you create content, then you will be replaced. But the idea is to be a problem solver, because it's not going to replace problem solvers. It's not going to replace people who have to think to come up with solutions. It's going to replace the people who are doing one task.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're,
the kind of banal, maybe repetitive task, or
it's the task that doesn't
creative problems.
Yeah, it's the task that doesn't require thinking. It's just the execution. And AI,
which I think
is all about execution.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing, generally speaking, because it'll just create more kind of like human capital and financial capital to, use that creativity and capital to build more businesses and, have more awesome stuff for society, goods and services. So I'm down as long as, maybe we can tell what's AI and what's not. Or it's because, the AI generated copy thing, that's, you now have to realize that, if you get emails and stuff, it could be AI generated. It's just something to be aware of.
But does it matter?
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. What's that, sorry?
Does it matter? If you can't tell, does it matter?
I don't know. Probably not. I mean, someone has to approve it. So, yeah, it's not like this completely automated. So, yeah, which kind of leads me into talking about digital transformation, I guess, which is going to be my next topic. This whole digital age thing, and there's this concept in digital marketing of digital transformation, and I'll just talk about it a bit now. So I'm on Target Internet, which is this cool company. Says, what is digital transformation? Let's start by clarifying what we mean by digital transformation. Digital transformation is the process of understanding where our organization is currently and where it needs to be in order to use digital marketing effectively to achieve our business objectives. By understanding the difference between where we are and where we need to be, we can then also understand what we need to do in order to fix things. The issues this process raises can be very broad business issues such as team structure and IT infrastructure, and that's where things get interesting. So I guess it's this whole concept of companies moving forward, embracing things like AI as well. And if a company wants to fully embrace this digital age, this digital transformation, so to speak, there could be big changes that have to be made in training, upskilling, maybe like companies that would fire people, and I don't know, could be bad in some ways, but it's the way everything's going at the moment. Yeah. You have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I know a couple of people that work for banks. They were talking about, I was asking them about the AI and if they use AI in their work. And they say that the bank has small teams that are using AI as a bit of a side project just to see how it works, how it can be useful, but saying that banks are pretty slow to adopt new technology because there's obviously a lot of processes involved to change everything over, to change a process that currently exists, if something that customers already like, trying to optimize that, and then have to go through and make sure there's no bugs and everything like that. So I suppose if you're a smaller company, you might have the upper hand where you could probably implement things quicker and be more effective, and maybe have like an edge on bigger companies. And I guess maybe as a private lender or something like that, you could maybe adopt these skills or these
you make changes quicker and easier.
Yeah. And then you could be ahead of the game in some context. So I guess that's something that maybe small businesses could look at as a positive. You know, have an opportunity to get ahead of the game early. Eventually banks will catch up, but if you've covered enough ground early enough, then you might be able to stay in front.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, and when, like, if you're kind of a lean, mean machine, like, you know, what we've been talking about, like companies are embracing, you know, this stuff that we're talking about with the real world and Imangaji, it's like you can probably pivot pretty quickly and make the necessary changes. But big old school companies, you know, especially when it comes to the digital marketing environment, you know, you got to consider new software, new tools, new trends, you know, in like content marketing, social media marketing, outbound marketing, paid ads or whatever, and it's a lot to adjust to. You have to be constantly learning, I think. So it's like, yeah, it's going to be interesting how businesses change in the future, or are forced to change, especially with debt levels super high and, you know, economic risk, currency risk. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I think generally it makes sense to me that you want to be a bit of a lean mean machine, hey? So to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on what kind of business you have and where you're at.
Yeah, true.
I think there's a couple of people that I've spoken to about their businesses, and they've owned their businesses for decades. And I asked them if they use any AI, and they're like, oh no, everything's organic. I don't advertise, you know, and their business is successful and they don't need to advertise because they're busy enough. Word of mouth's
the best, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, it's really, I guess it's horses for different courses.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah. But, generally speaking,
I mean, it depends if
things
it's
are changing.
Yeah. I mean, it depends if businesses are going to need, like, if they don't implement things, is the business going to go out of business?
Well, yeah, I mean, with demand potentially dropping off, yeah.
Because if they have a loyal customer base, will they still go down?
Yeah, especially if, say, you know, their grocery bill goes from like $200 a week to $350, $400 a week. So, you know, they're going to have that extra money to spend on something else. It's, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying is, assuming they offer a great service and their customers are still happy in any industry, is it going to be enough to still put them out of business if they don't? Well, I guess, yeah, eventually it's going to make things, you can get things done quicker with AI, I suppose. And you can get things done more efficiently, which I guess in turn saves you more money, which you can then spend to improve your product or expand your business.
They just cut maybe they just cut the fat from their business if they have to adjust through a recession or whatever. And then maybe they could take on these more cost-effective marketing strategies or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I've never been a business owner. So I'm just speculating.
Well, neither of us have, but we are on the road to making bank.
That's why we're talking about it, to work it out, right?
Well, that's it.
We haven't got the answers, but we can talk about it.
We're only talking from our own perspectives of what we know so far. So it's all speculation up to this point.
Yeah. Cool. So we're now promoting this podcast. I've stepped into the realm, and I've got to learn this stuff anyway, for what I want to do business-wise. But it's been interesting starting an Instagram page for this podcast, and I put a couple of X tweets out today. I don't know what you call it. Maybe I got X'd up. What do you do when you send an X? I'll just call it a tweet. Anyway, yeah, so I put a soundbite out on X and another show for, plug for episode 6. And we got 1 like on our reel on Instagram by a random person, which is cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got a like. And we've had some views on X, no engagement as yet, I think. But we've had some followers on Instagram. But I think they're all business related or OnlyFans related. And
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. There's always some OnlyFans chicks on there trying to hustle you. So, yeah, it's been interesting. We got 1 like on our reel. But it's early days, so it's a start. And, I'm actually thinking about, well, if things don't work out for me, creating some, doing a digital marketing service for businesses, for the solar industry I'm targeting, I might, I could pivot to like podcast production, and I'm thinking about doing a creative agency and doing podcast production and digital marketing, but I can incorporate the digital marketing into the podcast production because I can promote podcasts. And this has given me experience doing on this podcast, so it's cool. It's a good experience. So pretty much, yeah, after doing this with you, I pretty much have most of the skills to like do it for someone else and produce podcasts now. I have the audio background, so
would
it's
it be
a possible pivot to do a creative agency.
Setting up podcasts studios for people to use? So you set it up and then they come in and you use it and you sort of do the audio, kind of like a Jamie for Joe Rogan type situation? Or are you you've got your own channel and you're promoting other podcast channels?
Basically, I could do whatever they wanted. Yeah, I could set up location, set up a studio for them. I could, I could teach them how to record remote like we're doing, high quality, and or the highest quality, and just do the editing for them and their production in that regard. So could help them a bit with how they need to do it, and it could help them with their music or whatever. But it's you'd work like a music producer, I guess, if you're doing a album with a band or whatever, similar to that. So yeah, and I could I can edit in Pro Tools, mix it up. Then I'd probably use Buzzsprout again for podcast hosting. They seem to be really good, but whatever they wanted, I could figure out. And then put content marketing and social media marketing for the podcasts, throw it out on there, which I'm getting some experience with now. So it's an option, and it kind of probably feels more natural to me than doing doing email marketing and sales websites for businesses. But we'll see. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Let's start a creative agency.
I love it. I mean, you've been doing audio technician stuff since I've known you.
Yeah, I had a big break from it. Like I lost a lot of knowledge, so I need to skill up a bit more in using the software again. But yeah,
I mean, you've already got your head wrapped around the whole idea of everything and how it works. It's simply just be updating your skill set or your knowledge and getting up to speed with the current systems, which probably wouldn't be too difficult. I mean, you've done a course on it, haven't you? Like an audio technician course?
Yeah, did back in the day, did TAFE certificate. It was pretty good, but like I learned mostly by teaching myself.
You spent a lot of time, you know, creating music, made your own album, put it to a vinyl, you know, you've done a fair bit of work in this.
Yeah, so it's something
field.
I'm familiar with. Yeah, like but it like podcasting, doing this podcast was still new to me, so I can kind of translate those skills, I guess. Yeah, and it's still using audio. It's just not music anymore. Music's involved in podcasts, but so I might embrace that in the future. Let me bring up the docket. I'm going to open the door because it's boiling in here, but do you want to tell the audience about, have you got the $100 million offers book yet? And what's going on there?
Still have not received
Give me a sec.
the $100 million offers book. It is due to come in on the 11th of September, so Monday. And once it comes in, I'll have 3 copies and a hat. 1 copy for me, 1 copy for Shernon, and then there'll be 1 more copy for a listener. Any listeners who would like a free copy of $100 million leads, all they have to do is leave a comment and we'll send it out to them anywhere in the world. So
nice.
yeah, $100 million offers has not been received either. Sorry, yeah, $100 million offers expected on the 11th, and then $100 million leads. I'm not sure when that's coming in, but it's on its way.
Nice.
So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, sweet. I'm actually about 3/4 of the way through $100 million leads audiobooks. So I want to read the book again, actually, because I haven't absorbed everything. But it's good, man. It's good.
Did it make sense for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it all makes sense. It's all really practical stuff. Yeah.
Would you say it's easy reading, easy to understand if you're not familiar with the content?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty, he's good at that. He's good at simplifying things and being, explaining it. Yeah, he doesn't really get caught up in jargon and stuff. So yeah, it's very accessible, I think. So I think I've gotten through the cold outreach section actually, which is what I'm kind of looking at doing soon. So it was really relevant to me. And yeah, he had his warm outreach section was good. He did a section on content marketing, which is good. Yeah, he's a dude. I like it. Do you have any more? Oh, we've talked about the real world, but have you got any other? You got your Sansoni course coming up soon. Anything else you want to talk about course-wise?
That's in November. But yeah, otherwise, I guess it's the be getting into this content creation, which I've been looking at. I was down at, so my phone died the other day, stopped working, would not charge. So I've had to get a temporary phone in the meantime. Was going to get a iPhone 14. But then they said that the iPhone 15 is coming out soon. But yeah, JB Hi-Fi.
And Luka doesn't buy Luka doesn't buy secondhand phones as well, so he's getting the brand spanker. And yeah, JB have a great deal at the moment. If you buy a new phone or get a new number, they'll give you, and if you get on a plan for $99 a month for 2 years, you get 300 gig of data plus an $1,100 gift card, which you can use towards purchasing a new phone. So, you know, I went to the Apple store to try and get my phone fixed. They couldn't fix it.
and they were selling phones for like, I think the 500 gig was around $2,000. So if you buy it at JB and go on a $99 plan, instead of $2,000, it costs you $900. Because you got that $1,100 gift card. So anyone out there who is wanting to buy a new phone and get a new number and doesn't mind spending, I mean, I guess you'd probably be spending $99. You've got the $69 a month, which gives you 120 gig, or you've got $99 a month, which gives you 300 gig. So if you're a content creator or someone who hotspots and, you know, maybe does podcasts or something from their phone, and, you know, uses their phone to do all their work, you know, maybe business, content creation, podcasting, whatever the case may be, if you're using a lot of data, it might be a good option. Plus you get $1,100 off your phone if you buy it outright, or sorry, if you get the deal. So yeah, it's not a bad way to go. So
nice, man. That's a life hack right there. I was actually thinking about putting a life hack section in this podcast. So there you go.
Yeah, it's I was looking at the GoPro 11 as well to do some live streaming from the tree. And they said that the GoPro 12's coming out as well, so it might just be a good idea to wait till all the new stuff comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have the newest stuff, isn't it? But
well, it's good just to start fresh. I mean, I thought my phone was fine, and then it just died with no warning. So
just like didn't turn back on.
It just wouldn't charge. Just stopped charging. I just plugged the charger in. It was charging that morning. Plugged the charger in on the way home. Cleaned the port, but when I took the cover off, the screen had separated from the back or from the body of the phone, which I didn't realize, and there was a bit of sawdust in there. So I'm assuming maybe there's some moisture or something got inside and messed with it. So if you are someone that keeps a cover on their phone all the time, it might be worth checking every now and then just to see if the phone is still in good condition.
Yeah, man. Look after your technology for all you budding entrepreneurs. I've never bought a new phone, but I bought my first smartphone was a Nokia that I bought new. It was on sale. It was pretty shit, but man, I cleaned down my smartphone. Like, I look after it pretty well. I clean it with like rubbing alcohol and shit. Because I think the more dirt and stuff that builds up on your phone, the more it gets scratched, the more it, like, you know, it gets into the speakers and the everything. The ports. It's like, might as well look after it, eh? And if you're getting a 15, Luka, you should get that rubbing alcohol and give it a clean down.
Yeah, well, I'll certainly be getting... I mean, I treat it nicely. I get the best cover I can find.
Yeah.
For the work that I do, it's...
You can always clean it with your shirt or whatever.
Yeah, but yeah. I go for protection over looks.
Yep. Cool, man. I had course-wise, I finished like the main section of the Instantly Accelerator course. So Instantly is just cold email software. So I actually highly recommend it as, I mean, you can get it for free actually, because you can just sign up for a free trial, 1 month trial, and they have a full copywriting training course, cold email training course, and I pretty much got up to the sales. They also have the sales course as well, which looks good, but I haven't got through that yet, but I did all the other stuff, so I can recommend that for anyone that's interested in using the email software. I mean, technically you can just get it and then bail out, but you might like the software. So can recommend that for anyone out there, and you as well, Luka, if you're interested. Some free shit. You got a lot on your table, but it's there if you need it.
Hey, I'm always happy to look at new stuff.
Yeah, and it's like potentially free, so they go on the,
Send us a link.
So we get this free shit from Alex or Mosey. It's loving the free now. Yeah, cool. Any business ideas? More business ideas? Or anything you're currently working on? You've decided not to buy the bookstore, and where you at now?
Yeah, I think that's probably the safest bet. I mean, it might be the safest bet. Whether it's the best bet or not, who knows?
It's a hard call, isn't it?
Came in contact with the guy who sells storage, Shernon. It's one of your passions.
I'm a fan of storage. Good businesses and just good service. Good. It's good business.
So
yeah. So who's this guy?
His name's Simon. I didn't quite catch the company that he works for, but I was doing some wildlife rescue, and he was one of the members of the public who called in about a seagull that was stuck in some netting or something on their roof. So went around, spoke to him, and he told me a little bit about what he does, and I was talking to him about a couple of ideas that I had regarding setting up some mulch sites around Melbourne.
But
yeah, then also,
and he's in the storage game.
Yeah. And he was he liked the idea. He's pretty interested in it. So catching up with him to chat a little bit more about it.
Nice.
And then,
storage is recession proof as well. So, which is good future wise.
Yeah.
Future proofing.
And I guess it's one of those industries that, was still running during the pandemic. So it's
yeah, I mean,
proven
who knows
itself
if it's completely
viable.
recession proof.
And I guess
people who,
from the perspective that even if there is a recession, people might cut down from a residential perspective, but whether they're able to make those same cuts, from a public safety standpoint, where they're no longer maintaining parks, nature strips, public areas, that kind of thing, they sort of have to maintain it for public safety. So there's, I guess, almost a reassurance that any companies that have government or, state government contracts or council contracts are likely to continue working through most situations. And then if we do have...
If they can keep extracting the tax dollars.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got things like rates and whatnot, which would go into the maintenance of parks and nature strips and whatnot, those public spaces. So I think looking at it from what's going on, it looks like a pretty safe bet for at least those companies and for that part of the industry to maintain its workflow.
Are you talking about like arborist work?
Yeah.
As well? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially if you still keep getting the government work. Yeah.
For other companies who mostly only do residential, it might be a different story. It just depends.
Well, that's where your video course comes into play, Luka, because you're teaching people to cut those branches. So tell us, everyone, would you buy Luka's
course that doesn't exist
video course? You going to do it?
I suppose I have to. I would have to.
Nah, you don't have to. You have to decide on your... This is where we talk about the ideas, Luka. You don't feel pressured to...
I don't have to.
Do anything
I get
you don't
to.
want to.
I get to do it.
We'll see. I had a
It'd be
business
fun to
idea.
do. I really want to. What is it?
Yeah, man, it'd be cool. I'd buy it, maybe. Well, I was going through this Instantly course. I had the idea of like speed education. So what have I written here? Like tips coaching to help you get through a course fast and efficiently, daily calls and recap. Like a coach would ask you questions at the end of the day. So pretty much like someone to guide you through a course as fast and efficiently as possible. And yeah, kind of call you at the end of the day. You can talk about things you've learned or whatever. It's probably just like a mentor or something, right? But yeah, crossed my mind. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think one thing for that is you'd have to be really on top of understanding how different people learn.
Yeah, true.
I think from what from doing all these courses, you realize that people understand things differently. And I know for me, I've always had an issue with understanding things. Like I've kind of always felt like people around me understand things and I seem to not grasp certain ideas when they're explained in certain ways.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
you probably need to have... Yeah, sorry?
I was going to say, I just remember at work, we'd be standing around and we'd be going through the job for the day, and team leader would be going through the job and what everyone's going to do, and everyone would be like, yep. And he'd just look at me like, Luka, you got it. I'm like, not really, but let's just keep going, get into it. I'll just pick it up along the way. And that was pretty regular. So I think it's, either you find who you connect with, like what type of audience you connect with.
Yeah.
And they'll you
could target your clients. Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll kind of pick up, if they like the way you present the information, then they will probably naturally resonate. You'll have a certain type of person that will naturally resonate with you, and those people might become your clients. If you're trying to hit a broader range of people, then it's about, well, I guess if you're only presenting information in one way, at least I guess that's where those questions, making sure that people ask questions if they don't understand, and really being able to clarify things for people is important.
Maybe like a background in behavioral psychology or something would help, but maybe not necessary. But
well, I mean,
you could just target personality types, and and
that you might not have to do that intentionally. Like I said, it might just be a natural thing that will occur.
Yep.
But if you're doing one-on-ones, it's probably going to be a lot easier than if you're doing group sessions.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if you're someone that's actually done lots of courses as well. And yeah, I don't know if it's something that I would take up. Maybe it's a free one for anyone out there that wants it.
I mean, you could do it free initially just to get a couple of
testimonials.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, probably someone's out there doing something similar, but it was just something I thought of and thought was pretty original. But maybe it can be part of my creative agency, to be honest.
Do you have a type of person in mind that might be interested, or that you feel that you could really provide value to? Would it be a specific person, or do you think just anyone who's looking for that type of...
Maybe people that struggle to concentrate, or have concentration problems or something.
People like me.
Maybe you could work with someone like that. I mean, that's probably me as well. Like, what's that, sorry?
This is a perfect
I didn't
example. I was just saying, a person like me.
Yeah, maybe I can help you out, man. Maybe I can help myself out first. No, I can concentrate if I want to. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's pretty general. I'm sure like you could offer this service to someone that was good at learning it as well. You know, it's just more like a fine tuning sort of thing. And make sure you get as much from it as you can, maybe as much from a course as possible. Help with implementing that after, or, you know, which I guess is kind of like a mentor, but more like a more active mentor, maybe, instead of someone that you just pay for a 1 hour consult or something. So, yeah.
You're like mentoring and accountability.
Yeah. So I'll put that under my creative agency. Hey, creative dot. Actually, I won't give someone the domain. I haven't bought it yet. So, are there any new skill sets you wish to learn relating to life or business?
Content creation. I am very uncomfortable with creating content.
Maybe you can help with the podcast, our podcast content as well, man. We'll talk about that after, but yeah, man. Now we're doing the socials.
Yeah. Like it's creating content where you're in the content makes me very uncomfortable. But I kind of need to do it.
Well, you're doing it now.
Yeah. I guess it is a good start, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't promoted, you haven't like, we're taking the next step now of telling other people about it, right? So that's a whole different thing. Yeah, cool, man. So you just want to get some experience doing
just
that?
Getting comfortable with doing it, creating stuff, trying to put pieces together. I guess, you know, I was kind of always interested in it. You know, did media in school and whatnot, so it'd be cool.
Yeah. Just do some walk and talk stuff or some vlogs or something, you know, just kind of basic stuff. Maybe show someone around Auckland Street, St Kilda, carrying a phone camera and, you know, just on a selfie stick.
Oh, I don't know if I can do a selfie stick. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it's not completely natural, but I've done it. I did it. I did a video on my Narco Flow channel, tour of our True Digital Park in Bangkok, which is I stuffed it up. Like I was moving the camera around way too much, but I think I offered value in what I was talking about, but I screwed up the filming. It was okay, but a girl commented and said, thanks for the effort, although it did make me feel sick from all the camera movement. And
oh, well, that's some good advice there. You get some pretty positive feedback. You know exactly what you need to do for the next one.
Yeah, and she was right. Although I didn't really notice it. Maybe I wasn't affected by the camera movement as much when I watched it back. But yeah, man, don't like you know, like perfection is like, can be an enemy sometimes. So it's just like, just put shit out there and you'll get better. So I wouldn't worry about it, man. Just try and if it's not fun, don't do it. Like it's all about kind of being creative and shit. So
yeah, I mean, I think I would enjoy it, but I think it's just getting past the anxiety of doing it, or just not the anxiety or the anxiousness, but the I think the perception of it that I have in my mind, like of it kind of being like a cringy thing. I think because I sometimes watch people creating content and it makes me cringe, like watching them do it.
Oh yeah, it's
so I imagine
it's like watching the girl. It's like watching girls taking selfies in the beach, like down in St Kilda Beach.
Yeah, like that kind of thing makes me cringe. So then I imagine if I'm making content that I'm like, people are doing that same, like looking at me just doing that same thing, just cringing at me.
But it's not a you're not going to do like in a selfish way or a narcissistic way. You'd want to do a video or something. You're not going to take selfies of yourself with like,
right,
sunnies on and like laying at the beach. I don't think that's your style.
There is a purpose behind it, which is not entirely out of self-interest, although I suppose it is. It is for anyone creating content. At some point it is self-interest, but I guess I would like to think in a less...
You're going to provide more value than sticking your ass out and, pouting your lips. Yeah.
Even though I have a nice butt, but yes.
Actually, not to say there is a bit of value there, isn't it? You're fulfilling a demand when you're providing that sort of content.
Certainly. I mean, there was I was having this conversation the other day with a mate's wife, talking about some guy on Instagram that just like chops wood and just has 9 million followers, and all he does is just split wood. It's just full of comments from women just posting pretty nasty stuff about what they want to do to him. So it's there's certainly a market for it.
Yeah, for guys as well. Yeah, it's definitely a smaller market. But, nice. What do we got? Skills. Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's just I was thinking podcast production. I might look into that a bit more. Just expanding on the marketing skills, looking into more tools and the content, social media side of things, which could help with podcast production. So that's what I'm going to look into for now. Any tools or services you wish to recommend or talk about?
I think the JB have a good deal at the moment. So if you're looking for some new gear for content creation, phones or anything in that department, they've got some pretty good stuff going on. Services, I thought I wouldn't mind, actually, just off the top of my head, spoke ages ago about an app idea that I had about providing a medical service for people that, doctors, nurses, anyone with sort of a CPR training, first aid training could download. The app idea was that if you call 000, say that someone's having a heart attack, 000 would send out a message to anyone within that sort of 1K to 5K radius saying, hey, this person's had a heart attack, this is their location, can anyone assist? And then you can reply and say, yes, I can go. So that was an app idea that I had, but it already existed. It's called GoodSAM, short for Good Samaritan. So people can download that and check it out. Ambulance Victoria are on board with it. They promote it on their website. So, just off the top of my head, if people are interested in that, they could get involved and sign up if you do have first aid training or if you're a nurse or a doctor. I guess that could be something just from a community perspective.
It's a good idea. Be a good Samaritan, anyone with the skills in the medical field. Cool. Cool. We're coming to the end, man. What do you want to achieve in the next week?
Hopefully get these books. I just checked. There is a delay. FedEx.
So have you planned a strategy for reading this book in one day? Are you going to like just do one meal? You're going to intermittent fast? You're going to speed read? You're going to listen to the audiobook at the same time?
What's certainly intermittent fasting is important, especially in the morning. I think I have a lot of clarity when I'm not eating.
I think if you want to plow through a book, if you have a big lunch, you're probably done for, aren't you?
I think probably an early morning gym session as well is important if you're going to spend the day reading.
Clarity.
Yeah, just getting it all out in the morning.
Smashing that out. You have the whole day, so you can go until midnight if you want. Let's see how you go, hey?
Excited. What about you? Next week?
Next week, let's see. Nothing crazy. Just getting work done. I've done did a kind of sales presentation video today, and I'm still waiting for my cold email addresses to warm up, which is kind of getting them good deliverability through a process. So I want to try and find somewhere to play basketball in Bangkok. I think there's a couple of clubs. I think like Hoops Club Thailand or something. I'm missing shooting the basketball, so I want to sort that out. I want to get my driver's license, motorcycle license here, so I've got to achieve that. So I've got to go to immigration, do a couple of things. Business wise, just kind of just ticking some boxes really. So ticking boxes off the multiple projects I have, but maybe trying to get the marketing stuff off the ground. So any questions you want to pose to the audience for any feedback in the comments?
How do you prioritize? Is the question. How do you prioritize? And how do you organize?
That's what I've been dealing with, man. It's a good question. Do you have any strategies for that?
No, I'm looking for strategies. I'm looking for strategies.
Basecamp. So the Basecamp software is good for project management. It's helped me a lot. I think I've ticked off 42 to-do items that I've that's just one section of my funnel project, my marketing project. So it's a good way to tick off the boxes, and you can do like Kanban boards. So it's a more visual element for project management, and but prioritizing, it's like that can be good as well, because you can put the more important stuff at the start. You can line things up, move the bigger rocks, so to speak, first. And but it's but in terms of, you got to make that decision on what you want to prioritize, I guess. But it's easy to organize anyway. So that's a plug for the Basecamp software. It's very cool. We use it for this podcast actually, so it's cool.
Maybe I'll set it up for my private projects.
Yeah, do it, man. I reckon it's good. It's only $15 US a month, I think, which is pretty reasonable. You can pretty much do anything you want. It's very versatile, so I like it because I've got multiple projects and hopefully more client projects. So if you want to onboard clients for freelance work or whatever, if you have online work or anything, it's good for that, because you can bring other people on the projects and it will notify them and all that stuff. So recommended. Yeah, so let us know what you guys think out there in terms of prioritization, I guess. Yeah,
I like it. You have any questions?
No, Nah, just maybe just let us know if you want us to talk about anything in particular, or. But no, what have we talked about? Oh, well, digital transformation. Maybe if you see any value in embracing the kind of digital tools and stuff out there, and kind of realigning your the way you think about those things, and especially when it comes to business, and if you have a business and you haven't embraced all these digital tools and things like digital content marketing and stuff, if you're looking at doing that in the future. So yeah, all good, man. Guess that's it, hey? Should we sign off?
Sounds good. Episode 11.
Number 11. Cool. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good night. And we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.